Hey everybody, Dr. Oliver here for backintelligence.com, and today we're going to talk about anterior pelvic tilt and ways you can address it if it's excessive in you. If you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and get access to new videos as we put them out. So in a previous video, we talked about anterior pelvic tilt and how to some degree it's normal, but in some individuals it's excessive. And it's these excessive anterior pelvic tilts that we want to address, right? Because excessively being anterior pelvically tilted can cause abnormal strain on your body, and especially your low back. So we'll have Leon come in and just demonstrate the excessiveness of it. Again, a neutral, slight anterior pelvic tilt like Leon has, completely normal. That's what we should be. We should have a little curve, but we're supposed to have a lordosis. But it's when we go excessively, tucking that pelvis, sticking the butt out, that we start to load this low back a lot. So this is excessive. So we're gonna work on trying to open that up. So we're gonna go through a couple things to deal with the muscles that become tight and work on strengthening the position of a neutral spine, not an excessively tilted spine. So we have a lot of muscles that generally become very tight on these things. So we tend to see someone with this excessive anterior pelvic tilt to have a really tight paraspinals or erector spinae muscles on your back. Those are the muscles that run up and down your spine. They tend to be really tight and overactive in their hip flexors in the front of them as well. And so these areas we want to kind of try to work on and address and see if toning those down can help with the position a little bit. And then we're going to generally also see with most individuals that because of this, they have an elongated abdominal wall. So we tend to see some weakness possibly in the abdominal muscles and as well as the glute. So it's because of the position that we tend to see that people do better if they do abdominal work and glute. And addressing these for every individual is a good thing, but certainly for this position, we can use the abdominal wall and the glute to try to kind of reposition us a little and get us out of that excessive. So if we tighten here and tighten the back, we can get us into a more neutral spine. So we'll have Leon demonstrate some of the releases first. So let's do the paraspinal muscles first. So we're gonna have, Leon, you can use a ball at home, you can use a lacrosse ball or a massage ball, anything you have. And essentially you're gonna place it on your low back while you're laying on the ground. So Leon's gonna lay down. He's gonna have his knees bent, feet on the floor. He's gonna kind of roll away so he can get some room in there and he can stick the ball and he's gonna roll back. Again, we're not on our spine, we're next to our spine on either side. Generally from about your rib cage down to your pelvis is where you're gonna look. And you're gonna look up and down. You can roll a little bit, but it's generally best if you can use your hand to move the ball up and down. Once you find a spot and you target it, I want you just to sit there. It should be uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be excruciating. It should be uncomfortable. You should be able to breathe and let it relax. Could relax in 10 seconds, but it's usually 20, 30, 40 seconds. Once it gets better, move on. If it gets to a minute, it's no better, move on anyway. So a minute max. And then look for another one. You might find 2 or 3 on either side of the spine. So look up and down, try to release those out a bit. So once you've addressed the erector spinae or the paraspinal muscles, now we're going to look at that hip flexor. So I'll have Leon go into a standardized hip flexor stretch, which is on one knee. So he's got one leg up, about 90 degrees. The key with this exercise is that he doesn't excessively lean forward. So let's show what people do wrong in this thing. So if you excessively go forward like this, you're really stretching out the front of that left hip cap. So that's not really what we're looking for. We're trying to stretch the hip flexor. So I'll have Leon back up a bit. And we talked about that pelvis and tucking and not tucking the pelvis. So what you want to do now with your pelvis is you want to tuck it backwards. So the opposite of forward, you want to tuck it backwards. That's forward, that's backwards. So you should feel just doing that, the front of your down leg gets very tight and you feel that. So holding that position, you can squeeze your left butt. So if Leon's stretching his left side, he's going to squeeze his left butt. That'll increase the intensity of the stretch. And then he can slightly shift forward an inch or two to really have it set into the front of that hip. If he feels comfortable with it, he can stick his left hand high in the air and he's going to turn slightly to the left and lean slightly towards me. He's going to open up the front. You might feel this kind of creep up into your side a little bit. If it bothers your back at all, just come out of it and just do it without the arm up. So this stretch, we're going to do about 20, 30 seconds, and then we're going to put it down, drop the knee, do the other side. So we're open up both hip flexors after we open up the paraspinals. So one other muscle we didn't really address, but tends to be very tight on individuals as well, is your lat, your latissimus dorsi. So if we have Leon just turn around, we'll show your lat's a big, huge muscle on people that generally, if it's really tight, can put a lot of load in the back too. So we like to open this up, especially if you're lifting weights and doing activities like that we tend to see that increase or excessive anterior pelvic tilt. This could be a good one for you as well, so we're going to try it. We're going to have Leon actually use a door. He's going to grab both door handles and sit back. You could use a lolly column in a basement if you have a beam that you can hold on to, something that won't move because you're going to put some load into it. He's going to grab both door handles. He's going to step away a few feet, and then as he sits back, he's going to tuck his pelvis. So he's actually going to kind of round his back out. So you want to feel most of the stretch coming down through here and here. And he's going to hang out. He's going to get as deep as he feels comfortable. He's going to hang out for a good 20 to 30 seconds. Again, you'll feel this stretch all the way from your arms down into your back, and you just start breathing. If you can breathe in that position and try to expand your rib cage, we tend to see this work better. So just nice, steady breathing, 20 to 30 seconds to open up those lats. All right, now that we've stretched or loosened up some of the tight muscles, let's address strength, okay? So we're gonna do a few exercises right now to try to address some muscles that might be a little bit weak in these situations, but no matter what, are gonna help to stabilize and shore things up a little bit. So we're gonna go with your standardized plank. Great exercise, but often done wrong. So we're gonna have Leon go into it, and I'm gonna demonstrate what I often see patients do when I ask them to do a plank. So I said, get in a plank, they drop right down, and then they go up. And you can see how low Leon is holding here. Again, he's dropped down. He's using his low back a lot because he's in that position. Ideally, he'd be a lot higher. He'd be in a nice straight line, but he's not. You could see the drop here. So rest for me a second, Leon. So most individuals, I prefer that they start on the ground. So what I tell them to do is I want you to engage your core. Imagine someone punching you in the stomach. And what should happen is that should actually lift you up a little bit here as you do that and actually posteriorly tilt your pelvis. Because if you're tightening your abs, it brings your belt buckle, if you had one, up towards your face a little bit so it'll tense. And use that to pull you up. So use that to pull you up, Leon. And come up to a nice straight position. And you can see how much more he's shaking. That's because he's using his core more. He's holding a nice straight position. If you trace down from his ear through his shoulder to his hip, he's going to do 10 or 20 seconds, whatever you feel comfortable, and then rest down for me, Leon. Shut it all off on the ground for a couple seconds. Engage the core on the bottom. Use that to pull you to the top. Good, and we're going to try to go for that 20 seconds. If you feel 20 is too much initially, do 10. That's fine. So we'll do that 10 or 20 second with a 2-second hold, and we're going to try to do sets of 10 of that. If you feel like that's too much, do what your body feels comfortable with. So the goal would be to do 20 seconds for at least 5 times. 10 would be even better. But again, listen to your body. Make sure you don't feel it in your back. You feel that anterior core, that stomach area. Good. All right, so exercise number 2 that we're going to go over is a really important exercise, one of my favorite exercises for the core. It's really good at just teaching neutral spine and having you in a good position. So we're going to have Leon go on his back. We're going to go into the dead bug. So the most important thing to pay attention to initially, this is your low back. What's going on in your low back? You should have a slight curve, not an excessive curve, and I don't want you crushing the ground. So I have people usually put their hand under their back, and if you're in a good neutral position, what we say is you should be able to feel your spine and the floor at the same time. If there's a big gap there, then you need to get your spine down. So you need to posterior tilt your pelvis or tuck your pelvis down, tense your core a little bit, and get you in a position where you're touching that hand. That's neutral. Now the key is that you're going to want to maintain that during this exercise, because if you have an excessive anterior pelvic tilt, your body's going to just go right into that tilt. So initially we're going to just do the legs. We'll have Leon keep his hand under his back so he can pay attention. So if you keep your hand there, it'll make you think about your spine and make you be honest about if you're keeping a good position. So he's going to tense his core like someone's punching him right in the stomach. He's going to lift up one leg. He's going to lift up the other leg. Good, making sure his back didn't arch up. A lot of people will arch up right away, but if you can, keep that spine down. Then he's going to pick one leg and he's just going to extend it away. So he's going to straighten that leg away, keeping that spine neutral, keeping it on the hand, bring it back, switch to the other side. One leg moves at a time, nice and slow. The only place I want you feeling it is that lower abdominal wall, 0 back. And again, if you're keeping your back honest and keeping it close to your hand or on your hand, you're not going to feel your back. It's when your back starts to arch away. So you'll find the further the leg goes away, that's where people get in trouble. So let's just say for Leon, we'll have him bring that leg back. As he goes out with this one, if he gets to about here and all of a sudden he starts to feel like he's arching off a bit, it's too far. He can't control it right now. So over time, he will be able to. So keep the range of motion you need initially. I don't care if it's 50% of a full range, 25% even. Whatever your core can maintain and control, that's all we care about. without your back getting involved. So no arching in your back and no feeling in your back at all. So we'll do 5 on each leg. That's 10. You rest. You try to do 3 sets of 10. As this becomes more comfortable and you feel confident you're keeping a neutral spine, then you add the arms in. So I'll have Leon just throw his arms right up. So this time, he can't monitor his back, but what I have some people do is just slip a deck of cards or a Sharpie magic marker in there so they can feel that. You're going to do opposites away from each other. Again, controlling it in this midsection, making sure you're not arching away, controlling it, bringing it back, and the other side. Again, only doing what your core can control. If you get to an end range and you find your body arching off, it's too hard. Don't do it. Keep it at a reduced range until you feel comfortable that you can move on. So again, 5 on each side. It's 10, you rest, you try to do 3 sets of that. Good. Exercise number 3 that we're going to do is a more advanced version of a bridge. So we're going to go into a single leg bridge. If you find that you can't do this exercise, you're going to want to go into a regular bridge first and then get up to this point. But if you can, we're going to start out with that single leg bridge. Again, we're working on that position of our pelvis and our low back. We're making sure we're not arched up, so we check underneath. If we feel there's a big gap right there, we're going to close that down by tucking that pelvis. We want it close to the ground. It doesn't need to crush the ground, but close. That's automatically going to fire up and get our glutes to do a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick one leg up and we're going to bring it towards us right there. And that'll help us also not arch in the back. So if you don't keep your leg out here, keep it in, the knee bent in a little bit towards you. You're going to drive off that left heel and you're going to come up. And ideally, you're going to feel that left glute, your left butt muscle engage. And if you feel that, great. And then you're going to come down. We'll do it again. We're going to do a pause at the top. We're going to go up, feel the glute, go down. So usually 2 or 3 on one side, and then we'll switch. So we'll have Leon go up again. Good. And then switch it out. It's real important you feel your glute during this and not your back at all. And definitely, we also don't want our quad a lot. So we really want the glute to drive up. So pushing through your heel can help with that. And you should feel that glute. But again, if you don't and you can't get the single leg to work, go back to a double leg bridge. That's fine for now. It needs to be in your glutes and you need to hold that good pelvic position. So for this one, we're going to do 10 on each leg. So you can do 2 or 3 on each side, just alternating back and forth until you get to 10 and rest. If that gets comfortable, that gets too easy, then you can go into 2 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 10. So just do what your body lets you do. So again, use these exercises to strengthen the glutes and strengthen the core and hold that good pelvic position and hopefully keep you out of that excessive anterior tilt. A little anterior tilt is normal, don't worry about it, but if it's really excessive and loading your back a lot, try these strategies to see if you get relief. So like I said, if you feel like you can't do the single leg bridge, you're just not getting your glute, your butt to fire, and it's in your back or it's in your quad a lot, then it's just not ready for it. So go back. We have a video that dives deep into the bridge and the best ways to do it and modifications to it because it's really important, this exercise, to get it done right. It's all should be the glute and the glute driving you into that hip extension. It's very common for me to see people do this exercise wrong. So check out that other video we have where it goes into detail. And then once you're ready, move on to the single leg bridge. And you might find that it helps a lot with that back tension and maybe with that anterior tilt that you have.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure you like it, as well as subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos just like this. Also, research shows that you need to strengthen your core if you want to alleviate some of that low back pain. And not only that, but you need to make sure that the exercises that you perform really target those deep core muscles, and you need to make sure those exercises are safe for your spine. Now we have a free PDF that we'd love to send you with some of the most effective and safest core exercises that you can do from your home. So if you'd like to get that PDF, there's going to be a link to it somewhere here on the video or down below in the description. Just go to that page, enter your email, and we'll send you that free PDF right away.